So I'm so excited to have Fabienne Raphaël back with us. I've interviewed you before for the School of Bravery and for the podcast because you and I were accountability partners for online business building. And I just really respect your opinion. And I also know that you have done a lot of work with your clients, coaching them through risky decisions. And this month in the School of Bravery, we're focusing on the bravery ingredient of risk. Like, you can't have bravery unless you're risking something, unless something else is at stake. And so I wanted to have you on to talk about that because I know you're an expert. So, but I also want to mention that you do business building coaching for your clients, but you are also an athlete's mentor for the Pan American Games this upcoming year. Is that right?
Yes, it's coming up in July.
So how can you give us can you bridge the gap between wait, you're doing business building and now you're an athlete's mentor? How do those things relate?
Okay, so I was myself an elite athlete. I was on Team Canada for team handball for about 12 years. Okay. And I participated myself in 2 Pan Am Games. So for us team handballers, Pan Am Games are our Olympic qualifiers. So I participated in 99 and in 2007. And in 99, we were very, very close to be at the Olympics. Actually, we lost the finals by 4 goals and it crushed me. But along the way, of course, being an athlete and having to go through a lot of challenges, training and being there and practicing and yes, taking a risk also that it might not work or, you have to sacrifice other areas of your life because you have a dream and you want to follow it and realize it, right? So all of that, I think it really helped me into my business and into going through those challenges as an entrepreneur too. So how I became an athlete's mentor is just it's a position that was open by the Canadian Olympic Committee. And it was open to anyone who had participated in either Pan Am Games or Olympic Games and that had something to share with the upcoming athletes, the people of tomorrow, the ones that had this goal of winning their competition or winning the Pan Am Games because it's an Olympic qualifiers. For some other people, it's just their biggest competition ever. And they like to have people around that have been there, gone through some stuff, and just inspire people with stories or with support, or if someone needs to talk about it, or if they want to have some advice and some insights on what's happening in their own personal life or sports life, well, I'll be there for them. So what happened is that I applied about 30, 40 other people, and they chose, I think, 8 or 9 to go on a Zoom call on an interview. And then I did that, and out of that, well, I came up first. They chose me first. I was like, oh my God. And it had always been one of my dreams to really be able to give back, right? Out of what I experimented and what I knew was great for me, because you always look up to people that have done it before you, and you're always looking to get inspired and get some, inspiration, insights, and great advice from people who've done it before you. And this is such an incredible opportunity for me. So that's how it happened.
I think it's so cool. I think I'm really glad that the Canadian Olympic Committee does this, because I think it's a really, really neat thing. If you're going to send people out to represent your country, you want to make sure that they're fully supported as citizens and as humans and as athletes. And so I'm super excited that you get to do this. I'm really fun.
Yeah. Really fun. Not more than me, Emily.
I can only imagine. So will you be mentoring other handball players or other athletes in general?
Actually, it's with the whole Canadian delegation. So we're supposed to be about 500 athletes. So how it works is every country has their building, and within the Canadian building, there's always an athletes lounge. So this is where people come and hang out, meet other athletes, watch the competitions, and just talk about stuff. So this is where I'll hang out like for most of the games, being there for people that come in. And there are 3 sports that I will be assigned to like more, and those were my choices. So of course team handball, and I'll be in basketball and water polo a bit more. So I will have access to their facilities and go to many games as I want there. But my role is within like the whole delegation. So it's not limited only to handball athletes.
That's fantastic. That is so fantastic. So now you're also a business coach, business building coach. And I know that you have a lot of experience with helping some of your clients take risky decisions. So how will you find yourself taking some of that advice, excuse me, taking some of that advice and giving it to some of your athletic people?
I like the fact that you bridged the two situations. Actually, they're very similar. I remember when I was first approached by the national coach at the time. I was studying physical therapy full time. No, that's not true. It was before that. It was 2 years before that, I think. I was not in college yet. And when he invited me, first of all, I was flattered. And then second of all, I was like, is this really for me now in my life? And when I went to that first practice, I was really intimidated because so many girls were playing outstanding. And these were a lot of people that I looked up to as a young athlete. And some of them, they're like, oh, I wish I could play like her, one day and stuff like that. So I was really intimidated. I was like, I told the coach, no, it's not for me. I'm not ready. And I think it was like 2 years later, there was the 96 Olympics, and I heard Celine Dion sing The Power of the Dream. And this is where it clicked for me. I was like, okay, this is my time. I don't care. I'm going in college in physical therapy full time. I'm going to take that risk, right? And when you do that, people don't really understand. And it's very similar to when you decide to jump into the entrepreneurial journey. Because for them, you're risking a part of your life. Like you're risking the fact that both of the things might not work. Because physical therapy is very demanding. Like I had 30 hours of school each week, and then you had to study, and above that, like the homework and, all those things that you have to get back. And then team handball, which was like 25 hours of training every week. Being a young athlete, so I was not a veteran on my team, so I had to work hard to get my spot on the team and being selected for the big competitions. So it was pressure on both ends. So of course you take a risk of both don't work, or one works, one don't work, and then, or both work, right? And I remember that it was a challenge for me because after 3 months, I was like, I'm not going to do this. Like, this is way too hard for me. And some people were telling me that, if I was thinking really clearly, because, I had been studying all that time to become something, and then I was going to risk that because I wanted to be an athlete at the same time. Was that the right decision or not? And then at a certain point, I remember that I crumbled under that pressure, and I went to my coach office and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to quit. And he's like, why? I'm like, well, you know what? Like, school is not necessarily going the way I want it because I can't study as much as I wanted to. And then sports at the same time was a lot of pressure because I had to get my spot and all that stuff. And this man, I think, was one of my first mentors because what he told me was this. He was like, first of all, tell me whose life you want to live. Like, is it your life or it's other people's? And I'm like, well, of course, it's my life. He's like, okay. So he's like, as an athlete, as a handball player, right? Do you realize the amount of experience you're going to have traveling with the team, meeting other athletes from other countries, realizing that, hey, you're stronger than that, or you earned your spot on the team and you're traveling and you are just developing yourself and finding other qualities that you thought you didn't have. So are you really looking forward to sacrifice that in the name of people telling you that, hey, you you might ruin your life because you decided to do two things at the same time. He's like, it's your choice. But I really believe that if you quit handball, it's the wrong choice. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So I remember I was crying like the whole evening and really thinking about like, what should I do about it? And I think that within like 48 hours, I was like, he's right. He's right. What if both work? What if it makes me, accomplish so many things in my life, and then being able to have like other qualities to push myself to higher level of performance, for example. And I never regretted that I stayed, because here I am today going to the Pan Am Games, and this is not something that would have happened as a retired athlete if I had not participated into 2 Pan Am Games myself, or decided to stay on the team and earn my spot for a lot of great competitions.
Yeah. So I just got goosebumps.
So that's the link that's the thing. And when you start your business, exactly the same thing. You're risking a lot of stuff. Financial insecurity, you're risking ridicule, like people thinking you're crazy, or your business idea not working, planning ahead, big thing, investing a lot of money, and then crickets, nothing. Like there are so many things that are at stake, like when you start your business. But again, like as an entrepreneur, you believe in yourself, you believe in your idea, and you want to change the world in a way. And you have to really be sure about that, because again, so many people will come and be like, hey, I remember having those comments like from former friends, like, so how's this business of yours going? Like not business going, like business, as if like, exactly, like as if what you're doing is like nothing. Or so what, you call yourself like a businesswoman now? Like, okay, so what's that kind of comment, or people really thinking that you're heading for failure and all that stuff. But it makes me laugh, because when you get to a certain point and you get some traction and some people following you and wanting to work with you, and you accomplish stuff, then these same people come back and like, wait a minute, like how did that happen, right? But again, like it's over sweats and tears, and it's over also like not partnering with the right people sometimes, or thinking that someone could help you and they're not helping you, like they put you even more down. Or like meeting the right people and investing your money into the right resources, and just having people pushing you forward, and just getting there slowly, and then get to that level, and realizing that, hey, finally, like I was able to do it too. But again, at the beginning, it was risky. It was risky.
I know that both you and I are like advocate taking risks, but taking the right kind of risks in the right ways. And so, because like you said, like you can risk things, you can risk a relationship, or you can risk investing your time and energy in the wrong kind of thing.
Exactly.
And then where are you left, but you can along the way learn how to invest your time and energy and resources into opportunities that will actually like pan out for you, like,
yeah.
So I would love to, I know that we have a lot of students in the School of Bravery who they've got something that they want to do. They've got this vision for something that they want to do, but they are risking stuff. And it could be like their mortgage, or, like a relationship, like somebody, like a close spouse is like really supporting them on this journey. And, or in the past have risked relationships in a different way for the sake of their vision. Like they envision themselves as being a whole healthy person. And so then they have a difficult conversation with somebody who they dearly love and draw a boundary, and they risk that relationship completely just by stating, I I need to do this brave thing and tell you that this, our relationship has not been going in the direction that is healthy, or whatever that may come up. So I just think it's really important for people to hear this story that you just told, because like you said, like when you risk doing two things, you risk that either thing will go wrong, mm-hmm. that one of them will go right, or that both will go right.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of us in the School of Bravery have more than one thing we're pursuing, and that can be, it's a good message to hear that, like, risking it in the right way is the right way to go. So,
but I would also say that, waiting, like, evaluate, like, what will happen if you don't do anything, or what will happen if you go forward with both things, let's say,
yeah.
And what is the cost of you not doing anything about it? Like, just deciding to, just, I don't know, like, just because sometimes it costs like way more when you decide not to do anything than when you decide to go forward with something.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what I truly think. So, and how do you feel with the status quo? That's another question. Because out of being a team handball athlete, like, I was offered to play in Denmark, like in the beginning of the 2000s, and I remember that. Just wait a second. Like, do you hear my partner speaking? Okay, I'll just tell him. Can we just can I just go for a moment? Okay, cool.
It's so fun to. I know that you and your husband work together on both of your businesses, and together you have the same business that you own. So it's always fun to see how partners work together and on a daily basis. It's really great. But you were saying that that stagnancy is often risking more than going for it.
Oh yeah. And I was about to tell you when I left for Denmark, and this was in 2002. So I was offered to be on a team in Copenhagen, playing first division, and that was another one of my goals as a team handball player, like playing in Europe, because in Europe it's way more popular than it is in North America. So I remember when I left, I was really excited because I took my decision within 2 weeks, because I was looking for a team in France and it didn't happen for me. And then I received a phone call from Denmark, and the coach said, how quick can you come? And I was like, give me 2 weeks, because I had a job at the time and I had to, give my 2 weeks notice and tell my parents I was leaving, and then pack and everything, buy my ticket. And I remember when I was in the plane, I was crying. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Going to a country I don't speak Danish, I don't know anyone. But what this experience brought me is, like, realizing that there are so many other qualities that I never thought I had, that I discovered because I was faced with, first of all, I didn't have a visa going there. I didn't think I needed a visa. And then I don't know why they let me leave the country like that. So when I arrived in Copenhagen, the guy at the custom was like, so when are you going back home? I'm like, I don't know, maybe in a year or two. And he's like, where's your visa? I'm like, I need a visa? And it was like, well, you have exactly 10 days to figure that out, or else we'll kick you out.
Yeah.
God, And it made me, like, really think clearly and quick, and go to the embassy and go to the immigration and have all of that sorted out, and being very intense about it, and people knowing me at the embassy because they knew, like, each and every single that was calling, like, how's my visa and how are things going. But I figured it out, and being in a country not speaking Danish, and then I ended up 2 years later speaking fluent Danish. Not knowing anyone, and then leaving and having, like, a ton of friends to connect with, like, still. So I feel that, and then when I came back home, that was a big shock for me, because it's as if like I was here and home was still here, because I had made all that progress in my life,
Right.
and everyone was still the same, living
Right.
the same thing, going to the same job, having the same issues. And here I was like having all these challenges and, you know, like going over them and coming back full of energy and what's next in my life, and people still being like automates and
Right.
just kept going in their lives.
Yeah.
So I think that just with that first experience really gave me the thrill to say that, hey, like I could become a better person day in and day out. Like if I force myself, or if I give myself high goals, then it asks me to become a better version of myself. And this is something I have the potential to accomplish. And I didn't even think about owning a business at that time. But I realized that when I decided to do that, that like a lot of these qualities that I needed in team handball or in leaving for another country, like they were extremely important to building my business. And that's the school of life too.
Yeah. Well, so what I would love to do with you, you know, we've talked about how important it is to take risks and the things that can happen for your life if you take risks, but I would love to hop over to the students area of the School of Bravery and to just jam on how do you take the risks, like the practical steps of like, okay, here are your options. Let's take some risks together. So we're going to hop over there. And if you're interested in becoming a student of the School of Bravery, we would love to have you. As a student, you get access to all of the student-only portions of the interviews with all of our guest experts, as well as monthly workshops. And we have some really exciting things coming up in this next year too. So, but I'm not going to spill the beans just yet. So, okay. Well, so we'll see you over there and we'll get going. Here we go.